everybody. This is Dr. Kristy Taylor, and I'm so excited. We have been celebrating Women's History Month all month, and we have interviewed some awesome women. And we're going to culminate this month's event with our live book club meeting. This is the MasterMINDS book club panel, and today we are going to be discussing the book, The Game of Life. And so I am a strong believer in the power of manifestation. If you are tuning in live from TikTok, if you're joining us across multiple platforms, we are, again, going to be discussing the book, The Game of Life by Florence Scovel today. And we are just all about the game of life and how to play it. And so with me today, I have my special guest. We may have other guests joining us later. I have with me Coach Angela J. and Miss Carrie Conrad of Beating Disaster. So I'm going to first hand it over to Carrie. Looks like we have one additional guest joining us. We have Mrs. Jill Lublin. Hi, Jill. How you doing? We're so excited to have you today. So I was just telling the audience we're streaming here on TikTok. Again, if you're joining us on TikTok and you want to watch the live event take place, the YouTube link is in our bio because Dr. Taylor is not that tech savvy. If you are joining us here on Facebook, we are talking about the game of life and how to play it. And so what we're going to be doing today is we have some questions. The guests will be sharing their experiences, talking about what they gained from the book. They might have specific things that they want to point out. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go around the room and going to allow you to introduce yourself. So we're going to start with Carrie, and then we'll go to Jill and then Coach Angela J. So take about a minute, ladies, to introduce yourself. Remember, our format is, we'll do the small talk at the beginning, brief introductions, and then towards the end, we'll save some minutes so that you can do your shameless plug about your business and then go into much more detail. So Carrie, take some time to introduce yourself. We're glad to have you here today. And tell us a little bit about your organization, Beating Disaster.
Well, I'm very glad to be here. I was excited to see this offer. And I think you said that you wanted to keep it personal to start off. So I am a wife, a mother of three, a homeschooling mom, a business owner. I am in recovery and volunteer. And when I saw the mention of this book, it was really, really exciting to me because of the fact that I actually have like a notepad in my phone that I have affirmations from this book. So, and when you're talking about mindset, like that's what I do in my work is like help people see things differently, because when we change the way we look at things, the things that we look at change. So it's been just such a profound influence on my own life. I'm really excited to share it with others.
All right. And Jill, you're on mute, Jill.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be here. I am a publicity expert and support you with getting more visibility and publicity. I also have written 4 books and run an intentional kindness community. And I have 4 cats, no kids, but 4 cats. This is a house where the animals outnumber the humans. And I love them all. They're all rescues and terrific. And I'm so happy to be here talking about this book today and appreciate you, Kristy, for putting us all together.
Thank you so much. Very excited. And Angela, Coach Angela J, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Coach Angela J, and I'm excited about being on this panel today because I am the owner and founder of Sound Mind Wellness Center. So this book goes perfectly with having a sound mind and changing your thoughts. I'm a mother. I have a 15-year-old, so those teenage blues going on there. So I have to change her thought process as she's growing into young adulthood. So I'm just very excited to discuss this book today.
Yeah. And, for me, I'm a student of Unity Teachings, and I really believe as a coach, I talk about having a positive mindset. I do this even with my clients who that I'm career coaching, right? Because it's about overcoming self-limiting beliefs to achieve their goals. So being a student of these principles and understanding the power of manifestation and the role that it plays in our life is going to be, I'm looking forward to hearing your stories and how you go about using these techniques in your life. Now, we do have some specific questions for the panel, and we'll do some around the room discussion. And you guys feel free as you all are answering these questions to piggyback off of each other and interlock your personal experiences. But one of the things I want to start off with is how she actually goes about defining this concept of the game of life. From Florence's standpoint, it's a metaphorical framework for understanding existence and how we as individuals have the power to shape our own reality with our thoughts, beliefs, and actions, right? And life is portrayed as this dynamic interplay of the laws of your individual choices and how you participate in your own journey. So it's about what we think. That's the game of life and this concept of how to play it. So the first thing that I would like to kind of go around the room and hear some perspective from you is your thoughts and concepts. What is your definition of the game of life and how we should play it based on what was discussed in the book? And Jill, we can start with you.
Well, thank you. And it's wonderful because I read this book also quite a while ago and have applied the principles in my business, because it is about prosperity, intuition, how one thinks, and then applying that daily, in good thoughts and good deeds. And for me, it's important to play the game of life in a very positive way. And I think this book really frames and has a framework for how to do that.
And thank you so much. And Angela, what about you?
Just like Jill said, just playing the game of life. This book allows us to develop some resilience and how to actually conquer all of those negative thoughts, even though we're going to think them, but how to throw them away, think them, realize them, throw them away, and replace them with something positive.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Replacing the negative with positive. I use rational emotive behavioral therapy in my own coaching practice. I use those techniques, and it's all about identifying irrational beliefs and replacing them with positive approaches. Carrie, what are your thoughts, that initial definition of the game of life and how to play it? What are your thoughts? What your initial takeaways from the book?
A couple things with that. So my profession is actually power and control, right? I do like safety, self-defense, relationships, and again, power and control. And they don't have to be dirty words. So when you have a book like this connects me with all of the places and all of the areas where I have power and I have control. This allows me to focus my energy where it's going to have a payoff. And there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much I can get done. And this allows me to be focused. A huge takeaway that was really helpful for me with this book is the fact that it is a game and it is play. Learn the rules and play the game. The way that I was living life before was not fun. I wasn't having a good time. I might have been like winning in some areas through accident, but this allows it to be a good time instead of life being a vale of tears and me being a victim of everything going wrong.
Yeah. And so just to build off what you said, I'm going to go really to that first point that we're making, because in the very beginning of the book, she defines what this concept of the game is. And she talks about the law of prosperity and the power of our spoken word. So what has been you guys' and anybody can jump in and give me your take on this, on the concept and ideology of the power of how we use spoken word in our own life. She talks about the power of that. So Jill, do you want to share your perspective on like the power? Because one thing I really love about Jill is that she is this media publicity guru, right? But then she also has this other movement where she's talking about just being kind. And it's in the book, she talks about a little bit of these karmatic concepts, right? Of whatever we put out into this universe is what we get back. So Jill, from your perspective, when she talks about this ideology and the power of positive, spoken word, what are your thoughts centered on that piece?
So, obviously being a media expert, I know that words matter. In most media interviews, you got like 4 minutes to make an important point. So every word does count, and what you speak does matter. And I'm not saying, we all feel good all the time. I think that each one of us needs to take responsibility for how we speak, how we act, and make sure that our words are positive. One of the things I tell my staff is, particularly on the days when I'm doing teaching or running my publicity programs, it's like, don't speak anything negative to me. I don't want that in my space. And I think it's really important. And that also attracts, by the way, really good people to me who also are up to something good in life. And I love people like that around me, and I work as much as possible to surround my environment. And when I'm not in that space, I do things to rewrite me, meaning recorrect me.
I like that. Angela, what is your take on the power of spoken word?
Oh my goodness. Spoken words are so powerful. They can either push us forward or they can push us backwards. So we have to choose to keep moving forward. And the only way to choose to keep moving forward is by bringing forth those positive thoughts and those positive words. So we need to speak those things out loud so that they are heard not only by us, but by God, by the universe, whoever you're praying to. When those things are spoken out loud, they become reality. And so that is one of the things that I got from that.
And Carrie, how do you use these concepts in your own life, Carrie? You talked a little bit about how your experiences transition. So how do you use these concepts in your life as it relates to spoken word? And then I want to move into the thought process too.
So I may not answer your question directly, but what I was thinking when others were sharing is, if you have a person in your life that is volatile, your word selection is really important, and again, that's my expertise. So there's a little extra motivation because we have these spiritual laws, but we also have people being people and being reactive. So when I'm intentional with the words that I say, there are words that I don't use. There are words that I focus on. I focus on words that connect people and bring us together. I focus on words that put us in a direction of where we want to go. I don't want to be running from something. I want to be heading towards a goal, a place, and that is the shift that I had in my personal life as I was running around saying, I don't want any more of this, and I don't want any more of this, and I don't want any more of this. And I'm sure you can guess what happened. I got a lot more of that, and it's shifting the focus. So it's the focus and then the words allow me to assess where my focus is. Because when I'm talking to somebody in conversation, I might not realize my thought process until it starts coming out of my mouth. Or I can also realize my thought process based on how I feel hearing what that person is saying. And rather than trying to change the way that people behave around me, I focus on changing my own self, because sometimes people don't play along and it's just not that fun, right? This is the game of life and how to play. I am guaranteed to apply the changes to me, whether or not my husband or my children or that person in line at the store, they may not want to play the game.
Yeah, to your point, and we kind of jumped from chapters 1 to 3 there when we were talking about, the power of, our words, but I'm still even just pulling stuff from chapter 1. And I remember, we were having a conversation before we started this event, and I'm my takeaway, the story of the lady who was poor, and she would be buying these nice things, and then she ends up marrying this guy and lives an opulent life. And when I was listening to that part of the book, I was for me, my 2 words are manifest opulence, right? Because there's so much of the power of thought, the power of mindset and words. Part of her teachings when she's talking about understanding the rules of the game of success, she is talking about there are universal laws that govern our life and what we do, how we approach life, the things that we do, our actions. This is what makes those laws line up. In other words, you are what you eat. Whatever you put out there in the universe is what you receive. Whatever what's the end? You correct me if I'm wrong. Bound in heaven is bound on earth. Whatever you loose in heaven, loose on earth. So all of those are karmatic type laws. It aligns with this concept, the various spiritual and philosophical traditions where the principles of cause and effect and manifestation and attraction are key. So one of the questions that I want to really go straight into our panel discussion, I feel like we already kind of covered the first 2. When we talk about this ideology, these concepts that Florence is presenting, she emphasizes the power of thoughts and beliefs, because we already talked a little bit about the words that we say. When you are speaking, though, it starts with thoughts. Thoughts turns into mindset, right? And so sometimes we're responsive with our thoughts. So on this ideology of thoughts and beliefs and shaping our reality, Can you share, and we're going in our circle, Jill, can you share an example from your own life where you have witnessed the influence of your thoughts on your own personal experiences?
Well, interestingly enough, in the creation of my first book, Guerrilla Publicity, I remember speaking into reality. I am writing a book on publicity. I didn't know it was going to be guerrilla publicity. I didn't know it was going to be blessed by being the J. Conrad Levinson marketing series. I just knew that I was writing a book. And one of the things I say to people is actually put that in your bio. I am currently writing a book on fill in the blank. Even if it's not written, even if not a word is written. And I really spoke that book into creation. And so I use the words but even more importantly, it actually went into my bio, holding me accountable for it. So that was super great. And it did get created, and it took 3 years. I think, be patient, but start speaking it into reality.
Yeah, I really like how, I like that. That's something I just thought of, to just say I'm in the process of writing a book and using it, right? Because usually I am, I'm going to do it behind the scenes and then I'll pop out with it, right? So I think from a publicity standpoint, that's great advice to someone who's listening and gets to, okay, I'm currently working on these things. Even if you're like, developing a journal, so you got projects in the works, sharing that information. Hey, Angela, so, tell us a little bit about that same principle. Like, how have you seen this stuff manifest in your own life, just based on how your thought process and mind has worked to be able to build the things that you're working on? I mean, I'm your best friend, right? So I know I've seen it, right? But,
So for me, ever since I was a child, I wanted to be a therapist, right? So, but life gets in the way. You get married, you have children. So those things kind of got put on the back burner. Even though I graduated from college and everything, I stayed in that same space, and I never moved forward. And it wasn't until more recently where I had to change my thought process. All of the things that I wanted for myself, and I thought that I could not achieve them for whatever reason. I had no real reason to think that way, but that's how negative thoughts affect us. Like, I can't move forward. But what I have realized in that is the fact that I allowed so much time to lapse that it gave me a lot of life experiences, so that now I'm able to help other people overcome those same negative thought processes. So, that's something about me, that how this book has definitely affected me in my personal life.
Well, I'm gonna tell your business if you want, because I've seen Angela grow over the past few years. We've been friends for, I feel like, since we were childhood, but really for the past 15 years, we've been friends.
No, 20. It's been like 20 years.
God, well, maybe you're in your 40s, but I'm only 25. So, we've been friends for a long time. And I remember when I first started my business in 2016, I had a client who came to me. He wanted to get into a program at Yale. And it was something that Angela wanted to do. We talked about it. It's like, okay, this is an opportunity for you to pursue some of your goals. And guess what? She won't say it, but I'll say it. Who's my friend that's going to Yale right now? That's right. Taking her course. I'm so proud of you for everything. So to watch us go through and persevere, that really, and seeing these things manifest, I mean, you can't say that those principles don't exist, right? And Carrie, how have you watched things manifest in your own life, right? Just through your thought process. Share an example with us.
Making decisions on being open to serve people in different ways, because maybe you guys are more spiritual than I am, but I came from a place of being very closed, very unwilling. You can't make me. I'm not going to nanner. So, to come from a place like that, and it's like slowly over time throughout my business, it's like, okay, fine, I'll help people in this way, but only this way. And every time I open the door, those things come to me. I don't seek them out. Like today I have a business, and it's not because of me. It's really despite of me. And I'm grateful to say that as soon as I become willing to help people through a certain avenue, those doors open. One of which is like, recently I became a licensed PI. That was a joke. That was a joke that I made for a long time, because like I don't have a police or military background, like it's martial arts. And I end up doing these very cool things that civilians aren't supposed to do. And one of which is like it's like, how do you become a licensed PI if you don't have a police or military background? Like, good luck with that. And I'm like, here I am. You know what I mean? Like, logic is great stuff. But when I become open and I become willing, when I'm willing to help people, and it's like, you throw it, like, it's later in the book, but it's pretty much like a thy will not mine be done. Fine, I'll be helpful. Like I said, as soon as I just crack the door on being willing, I have these opportunities, and these opportunities are so fulfilling and so good. There's no way I could ever say no. Like, you just can't. Like, I'm uniquely qualified to help somebody right here in this moment. And it's like, I still have that nanner inside of me. You can't make, but I would never. Like, you can't. You can't, because it's just too good.
I really love the idea of just being open to the universe, right? Because we try to package things up into what we want it to be. So I want to manifest opulence. That was my takeaway from the book, and but I have to be open to how that comes. To your point, Carrie, this question is not on our list of questions, but I kind of want to go around the room because I have some women who will be listening to this from my entrepreneur group that we're launching, just launched. And part of, the journey of going into entrepreneurship, we're all business owners, and you have to really believe and see that concept, right? And when nobody else believes, you got to keep believing. So one of the questions that I definitely want to ask you guys that's not on this list is, when you think about your journey in entrepreneurship, how has this book been helpful, or the concepts in this book apply? Because please just share just a little bit in piece of, you might have just read the book yesterday, but you've probably been using some of these same concepts all along, right? Jill, so, when you first decided to be an entrepreneur, how has the concepts in this book, because I heard you talk a little bit about earlier how, like, you use this book.
Well, one of the things I'm always in quest of is being better. And I am a constant learner. So this book has provided me more and different ways to think about things. I love the fact, I'll just say, that it's written by a woman in the 20s. I mean, how amazing is that? That to me I just have great respect that she rose up, wrote a book, and was really a teacher and listened to in a time that maybe women weren't quite as respected. So I have an admiration and respect for that. And it's really a constant and consistent reminder about how to be, about how to think. And I love its conciseness. It's a small book with a big punch.
Yeah, these types of books. So when we do these types of book club events again, I'm never going to choose something that's like 500 pages to read, right? We're all busy. And, I like things to get to the point, teach me what I need to know so I can move on. But like Jill, I'm a constant learner too. I'm always embracing. So if I'm at work and you see me with a headset on, I'm usually listening to some type of motivational book, taking some type of training, or my third love of sci-fi and listening to some zombie apocalypse book, which is just for you. Hey, Angela. So, as you're going about the process of launching your business, how do these concepts apply, and, what advice can you give to entrepreneurs experiencing some of the same challenges or successes?
So again, we cannot stress enough, think positive, because when you're in the beginning stages, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it. I don't know where my clients or are going to come from, the people who are going to purchase my merchandise. If you are selling things, you don't know where that's going to come from, and it's not going to come from your closest friends and family. Okay, they may initially get something from you, but they will not be your continuous clientele. So we have to understand that we have to think bigger than our immediate surroundings and the people who are surround us. We have to think bigger. So that's why spoken word and visualizing those things, seeing yourself as being worldwide, those things are very, very, very important. Those are the things that's going to allow us to reach our goal. And we may not ever be worldwide, but we'll be big enough to where whatever you're doing will generate revenue. If that's your goal, it will help you to help others if that's your goal, so that's what you have to think bigger. And whatever that big is for you and that will be in your life, it will be. So
manifest opulence.
yeah.
You said it for the rest of the year, right? Manifest opulence. And Carrie, in your own, I feel like that you already answered this question in your last explanation. You shared so much about just the openness piece, but what advice would you give to entrepreneurs in terms of the thinking process and how to use these concepts?
So one thing that wasn't touched on, and it's later in the book, but she talks about it being very important to use words that we feel good about. That we feel good about.
Yeah.
And for me, I came from a place of such low self-esteem and desperation. And I started a business because I didn't have any other choice. It wasn't because I thought it would work out. It was because I was unemployable because I had a daughter. It's just what it was. It's just what it was. And so it just became being grateful for opportunities that I had. And I just had to be open to see that there's probably a lot going on in the world that I don't know about. And there's probably a lot of things that can happen that are beyond me. So I'll just show up for that. Because I couldn't see myself as a success. I couldn't see being helpful to others. I couldn't see any of that. So I come from like such a dark place that my journey really had to be about, okay, how about this? I don't know everything. Let's just see what happens. And like starting off with just that allowed me to be like, I've come a long way, and it's been very uncomfortable, and some go very quickly. And like some of you were saying, like I'm constantly listening and learning, but I have been unreceptive, and it took me time and trial and error, but I had to find like affirmations that I felt good about. Like, this could go better than I expect. You know what I mean? Like that was enough. That was enough. Now, if you would have said, if I would have started with, I'm going to have a successful business, it wouldn't have worked.
It won't. You are absolutely correct. You have to start small. Like it's the small steps. So you have to start small to get there. And I think we've all been there in dark places. We don't want to, we all had to overcome things. I mean, if the Bible says, let's not act like it's some strange things, because trials and tribulations, they come. Yeah. Whether you believe in spirituality or not, trials and tribulations are a part of our life, and it's just how we choose to face those things.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie touched on it. And that was literally the next question that I had about the power, because we talk about thought and words, and because I had kind of skipped forward in the beginning, but part of her teachings, like especially when you get to the chapter 3, and then in the end, she gives you some affirmations. But when she talks about the power of the word and recognizing word and the connection between language and manifestation, and I do want to go back to something Carrie said, because in my own business, I have had tunnel vision. Like I literally started my business because I didn't have a job, made enough money to be able to hire coaches, right? Well, it was a restart of a business that I previously had. Made enough money to hire coaches, brought the coaches in, and then I'm looking at how I've been working with the coaches the last month. I'm like, I didn't always want to listen to what they had, because I had tunnel vision that it's supposed to be like this, right? This is where and here I am now changing my website for like the 4th or 5th time. It's like a final, like it all came together in my head. Like, how are you going to like really make Work Solutions the social impact organization that it needs to be, right? But in the beginning, I was like, no, I want to go this way, that way, whatever, because this was what I had in my mind. So part of what she talks about is the power of manifestation and language, and we've already kind of covered that. But I really want to talk about this concept of affirmations, right? Because we've talked about the use of language from a general standpoint. If you're not familiar with affirmations, they are positive statements that affirm the desired outcome of reality repeated consistently with conviction and belief. Oh my God, I just know that manifest opulence is going to be, I just can't get it out of my head. By affirming that what we wish to experience, we can program our subconscious mind and align our thoughts. So these are notes from the book with the vibration of our desires, thereby facilitating their manifestation. So Jill, affirmations, they are central in the book, right? So have you ever used affirmations in your life? And if so, what was your experience? And if not, do you think you might try incorporating them into your own life?
Yes, I do love affirmations. Every Sunday I listen to Dr. Michael Beckwith at Agape, and we, start with affirmations. And I would tell you, honestly, I don't use them daily. I use other things, more prayer and requests, so to speak. So I do, however, at least once a week, utilize it. I think they're powerful. I actually know they're powerful. And I do use them, I would tell you, at least weekly.
So yeah, because it's the power. And for me, when you talk about the use of prayer and incorporation of, other approaches and requests, to me, that's all affirmation. I say affirming prayers, right? And that's what they teach us in Unity. You say affirming prayers and you're putting your requests, because it's that demand that you're making on the universe. It's that the request that you're making to God. The affirmations just help to reinforce. It's replacing those negative thoughts, or it's just reaffirming some of the things that you want. And before I go ahead,
can I say one thing about that? Because sometimes I think you have to allow, this or something better, right? Because
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, like, to Carrie's point that she made, it's like we can say affirmations, but my affirmations used to be, and Angela knows this, I want a BMW. I want right? It was so exact and specific of the things I wanted and how I was gonna get here. And then like, here I am, 40. I don't, and I subconsciously manifest living in DC and somehow got here. And then if you look at my Facebook post, now I'm cold and hungry all the time, right? Because I can't find good food. But it works for me living here. So sometimes, we just need to be open to Carrie's point that she made. It's like, okay, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I want it to happen, or I feel some way around it. And so, kind of keep an open mind with your affirmations. Angela, how are you using these concepts in your own life?
So I think that we use confirmations all the time. And a lot of times we are just unaware that we're using confirmations, right?
Confirmations, affirmations.
I'm sorry, not confirmation. I'm sorry, affirmations. I think that I'm sorry. I heard confirmations and then now I'm going with confirmation. But yes, we use affirmations all the time. Like, okay, so I'm in the military, right? So I'm dealing with stuff all the time. And so sometimes you go into a meeting, or even when you're dealing with your children, you like, okay, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to talk to her nicely. I'm not going to say anything wrong. I think those are also affirmations. And I just think that, we're unconsciously using them and not realizing. But when we actually make them start being aware of our thoughts and aware of what we're doing, I think that's what makes them manifest even the more. So that's how I've been using, just being aware of my thought process. And then I also, I use Jason Stevenson. I listen to him every night. So if y'all want to get on YouTube and just look and listen to some of his videos, there's a lot of positive affirmations, and I usually go to sleep within the first 2 minutes, but I feel confident that what he's saying is somehow reaching my mind while I'm asleep.
Yeah, and Carrie has talked a lot about the power of words and this confirming, right? These affirmations, because that's what it is. It's reaffirming and confirming, what you want out of the universe. But Carrie, I'm going to actually switch it up on you because you talk so much about this. But I want to talk about, because she talks about in the book, the negative piece, right? And so you've talked a lot about the power of affirmations. But one thing that we haven't touched on from this is we look at affirmations as positive, right? The positive things that we say when we look in the mirror. Like I remember when, what was it, Carrie, when she released us, my name is Kristy. I'm so very fly. Oh, I used to stand in the mirror and saying that because I thought it was such a reaffirming positive anthem for women. But subconsciously, sometimes the negative thoughts are there, right? And they become conscious. And to Angela's point, once we manifest those negative thoughts, and she talks about this in the book, right? We start to attract those things to us. So, Carrie, I just kind of want to get your perspective on how sometimes we can actually be using negative affirmations and reinforcing negative concepts.
We can. And I have a myriad of examples of experience that I won't share because it's not helpful to anyone in any way. You want to know what you're thinking? Look at your reality. What are you experiencing? Because if there's a lot of people who are not enjoyable, you might want to take note. Take note. What am I bringing to the table? Again, like I said, I love this because this is like power and control of spirituality. So that's my jam. And I can see what my inner thought life looks like just by looking around. So, that's how I know to change something. That's how I know to change. And I choose to go back to the positive, right? And it's like some things that I would say, it's like when things go wrong, it's like God has something better for me. There's something better in store. Or everything is always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. I can't get it wrong and I'm not going to get it right. It's a game. You know what I mean? Like, don't forget, we're playing a game and it's like, oh, this is a learning curve. What a great learning opportunity. I won't be doing that one again, or I'll be paying more attention. And it's like, thank you for the opportunity to do better. Thank you for the opportunity to learn how to treat people better. Thank you for the opportunity to be a better mother. Thank you for the opportunity to be a better wife. And this is how I respond to me botching it, because I do. But if it's a game, then it's okay, because we're just playing a game.
We're here to botch it up.
You're right. Yes, I love that. I love that, Carrie, because you have to be aware that everything is not going to work out, and we have to see the positive even in the things that are that we perceive as negative. Okay, we perceive it as negative because it doesn't feel good to us in that very moment, but there's always positive within that negative.
Yeah, it really is so much about mindset. As I look at my notes here, we're kind of going down the chapter. We might not get through this whole thing, but we're kind of hitting the chapters 4 and 5 mindset, where she's talking about, adopting a mindset of acceptance and trust in the divine order of the universe, surrendering control and relinquishing the need to micromanage outcomes, right? And opening yourself up to unexpected blessings, and aligning yourself with the synchronicities of the universe. Karma, and I really believe in karmatic principles. I've studied, Angela knows that I have this love of just like religion in general. I finally end up settling on, the direction that I'm going. But I've looked at different religions, and all religions to me have some common principles and ideologies, right? And the concept of karma, give and take, reap and sow. Well, so and reap, sometimes I get them twisted, but it's a universal principle. She talks about the importance of intuition and guidance in decision making. And so one of the questions I want to ask you, Jill, is like, when we look at following intuition and guidance in decision making, how do you cultivate and trust your own intuition and building that trust with yourself, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a wonderful question, because the truth is, I'm actually very guided by my intuition when I speak with publicity clients. I'm listening as they're speaking for what the answer is, as opposed to in my own mind. Now, I never used to talk about this. Now, when I speak to people, when I run my publicity boot camps, I talk about intuition and the fact that I rely on it. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It's something I never spoke of before, but now I'm willing to, yes, actually admit it, that I am highly intuitive. And I think this is something that gives us all an edge on our mind, is what's in our intuition. What do we feel in our gut and our heart? And getting things congruent all the way through is important. But I absolutely listen to all the whispers. I don't like to get hit by the 2x4s. I'm now listening to all the whispers with my intuition.
Now you have to follow your gut. I mean, and it was like, I'm big on intuition too. And I remember before I ended up without a job and started my business, when you think about it, it was the universe lining up, right? Because I was actually getting ready to go on a deployment. And so it was just like the universe lining itself up. And the job that I had in my head, I was like, I probably shouldn't have done this. Like literally the first day, it was like, I don't think I was supposed to do this. But God has a way of, we can think we're not supposed to do that, but then this becomes a part of our story, right? This becomes a part of our story. Is what shaped us and what propelled me to fast forward to where we are today. But, sometimes we need to follow our gut and make sure God can shape things and change things in a way that it comes out in your favor. Because again, he's a God of love and compassion. So I feel like I would have ended up here either way, but because I wanted something that I wasn't supposed to have, I didn't follow my tuition and I went the opposite because I was trying to use logic. And that's sometimes hard, right? I'm trying to use logic over intuition and ended up in a hole. Angela, so how does intuition guide you? How do you use it?
So I use intuition. I just try to, it's really just a feeling. Like, we always saying, well, something told me to do this, something told me to do that. And just like you, I try to override my intuition with logic. Like logically, that doesn't make any sense. Or I shouldn't do that because of this, or how is it going to look? Or what is other people going to say? But we have to learn to, be more aware. I always say, we just got to be aware of our surroundings, aware of our thoughts. So if I'm aware of my intuition, I can kind of allow that to kind of guide me. For whatever reason, I haven't seen my intuition guide me wrong yet. Right. So I think that we just need to be, like, for me, I just try to be more aware of that and just try to lean more into that than lean into my thoughts and being more rational. That can kind of lead us down a wrong path. Well, not really a wrong path, but, I always tell my daughter, they have a saying like, get it out the mud. And you don't have to get it out the mud, like, because I'm here, I'm your mother, and I am making your path straight, so you don't have to go through some trials and tribulations. So that's what intuition means for me. Like just trying to lean more into that so that I don't have to go through a stumbling block. I can just lean to that and like, okay, I want it to go this way, but my intuition is telling me to go this way. Let me go this way and follow that and follow the voice of the Lord.
Yeah, I was so dead set on I got to get a good government job so I can settle down and get married. I'm like, girl, I'm about to be 41. It is what it is, and I'm gonna ride this life right on out. Might get married, might not. You know what I'm saying? But I was trying to put these things in place so that I could have this constant, so I can shape this the way that I want it to be. But here I am a year or two later, author of several books, relaunched a business and hosting a podcast. Like I would have never thought that I would be doing this. Something that you said, Angela, it just bugged my mind. Like lean not on your own understanding, right? But trust in God. I believe the intuition piece is the God, because we don't always understand intuition, right? But logic is our own understanding. When we're trying to rationalize it, right? That's logic. So you just kind of brought that to life. Carrie, how do you use intuition?
I teach personal safety. Without it, you die. You know what I mean? So when it comes to, I actually help women like come to rely on their intuition. And like, how do you do that other than trial and error? Like, remember the game of life and how to play it. So you get an intuitive thought and you're like, that sounds terrible. Try it. I mean, like, are you playing the game? Are you playing the game? You're like, that's so dumb. I'm going to do it. And how's it turn out? What happens is it turns out to be reliable. That's how we end up relying on it.
Listen, I could go another hour with you guys. We fast approaching the end, so I want to just throw a couple more questions in though, and then we'll do a round table because this conversation has been so worth it, right? And if you're tuning in on TikTok, we had a bunch of people sign up, not a lot showing, so we'll make sure we share this link so that the ladies can be able to watch it on the playback. But she talks about divine design, right? And knowing your path. And then she also talks about gratitude as a part of manifestation. And I know, Jill, that hits home for you because of the movement that you're pushing. So I'm going to just skip to this portion where she talks about gratitude as a vital component of the manifestation process. And she explains that gratitude serves as a powerful magnet for attracting abundance and blessings into your life. I really think that what you're doing, Jill, in terms of kindness, is a component of gratitude, right? So by expressing gratitude for the blessings already present in our lives, we align the vibration. So Jill, I just want you to touch on that. You can kind of incorporate what you're doing with that kindness movement too.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Well, absolutely. Every month we are doing kindness circles and people are gathering in groups. We have over 1,000 people registered in the kindness community at this point. And that number, what I say to people is forget a random acts of kindness. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Let's practice conscious acts of kindness every single day. If everyone does one conscious act of kindness, imagine the world we would live in. And I want to say gratitude is really important. So every day, every morning, I wake up and I speak 5 things I'm grateful for. In the evening, before bed, I speak 5 things I'm grateful for. That's a simple thing. So be verbal with it. Express it out loud. Express it out to the universe if you have no one to say it to. But I think it's really important. And then practicing that at least one conscious act of kindness every single day. And it is so easy. A nice smile, or for some reason the day goes by, I'll just send a very nice text or an email or write a handwritten card. Wow, how wonderful those are. So that's some of the things you can do.
Yeah, you're putting the kindness out there and you're going to receive kindness in return, even when the world is not kind, right? It really starts as us as individuals being kind to each other, and it can start, it's a small things. It's like we keep talking about taking one little step at a time, but it's like you say, it could just be sending a note saying thank you. You don't have to set up, young people, you do not have to set up a whole production to make a TikTok video about how you gave a sandwich to a homeless man. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't have to do that. You can just give the sandwich, right? You can be that person that makes a difference. Angela, how are you using gratitude in your daily life and incorporating this into your practices?
That is something that I am actively working on, right? Because I am an introvert, okay? And most people think that I am mean, and I am trying to show that I am.
I would like to vouch for their meanness on public campus.
So I am, that is something that I am consciously and actively working at, showing gratitude even to my child, like saying thank you for things, to my coworkers, to my friends, showing them that I'm grateful. I am a natural giver, so I can give to whomever. If I see a person in need, like I can do that. But it's the going out of my way to actually show gratitude to people who are closest to me. I am actively working on that. I can honestly say that.
You are a natural giver, because I'm a natural hoarder of stuff, and I get stuff like, this is mine. And Angela would buy something, she'll be like, hey, did you want one of these? I'm like, you only had 2 purses, 2 different colors. I'll be taking both of those. I would never be like, did you want one of these purses? No, I would. So I just know that's naturally. And I think that if you talk about the kindness piece, Angela, that's just a natural part of who you are, right? And even though you're not acknowledging, you said you're a natural giver, that plays into kindness and gratitude, right? Because so you'll attract what you're giving out. And Carrie, how are you incorporating gratitude into your daily practices of life?
Well, I do with my family, because that's what I want to model to my kids. Like, that's another thing, as I teach moms how to keep their kids safe. And it's like, we can talk till we're blue in the face. No one cares, especially our kids. They want to, they watch what our feet are doing. They watch how we behave. So if I want my kids to be grateful, I need to demonstrate gratitude. And sometimes we do that verbally, but like Angela mentioned, like, we show gratitude. Gratitude is an action. If I'm, here's what it's like. If I'm grateful for my car, do I stay up on oil changes? Because if I was grateful for my car, I'd stay up on oil changes, But I did want to I use gratitude in everything, because it's so powerful. Coming from a place where I was ungrateful for everything, like, that's really how everything started. That's how it all began. That's how it began to be open for new things. So like I shared previously already, is like, I'm grateful for opportunities to grow and evolve and change. And that means when things don't go the way that I think they should. That's what that is. That's an opportunity. And then the other thing is I've used gratitude in faith, like is suggested in the book, way before I was aware of the book. After being a single mom for 6+ years, it was very clear that it was time for me to date, which I said I would never do. Once was enough. Thank you very much. But I knew it was God's will for my daughter and I to be taken care of. I knew it was God's will to have a safe partner. I knew it was God's will to have a partner that shared values with me. So I just made a list of all the things that I knew were God's will for me. And I just thanked God for that man. I don't know who the hell he is. I have no idea. I don't know this guy, but God, thank you for this person, and my daughter, like there are challenges raising her, and it's not easy to find somebody who is flexible and adaptable and able to love like really unlovable behavior, for being frank, and because of, just like she said in the book. So when I read this book, there were some things that I have already tried and lived, which made it easier to be sold on the rest of the book. And I'm married to that man today, and he is not what I thought he'd look like. Not even, you know what I mean? Like, that is not what I thought. And he is exactly what I thanked God for. He is exactly what my daughter and I needed. He is exactly the right match for both of us, not one of us, both of us. And there is nothing that I could have done. There's no statistics or logic or that I could have had those results on my own.
Yeah, I really love what you shared. Listen, guys, I'm going to go quickly through this book. We're going to do one more round of questions, and then we're going to do our shameless plug, right? Because this was such a great conversation that we're approaching the end. Listen, I feel like that in this conversation today, when you look at the chapter breakdowns, we've discussed, the game, we've defined it. We talked about holistically the law of prosperity, which is asserting abundance in its natural state, and it's our birthright, right? And we're taught in Unity that the law of prosperity is our birthright. You just have to embrace it, because you're going to attract what you put out there. If God has put, now this is me preaching, Lord, if God has put something on your heart over and over and over again, and it's the universe, you feel like it's nagging at you, that's a sign that you need to act on that, right? And so when we talk about the law of prosperity and aligning yourself with what the universe or God, i.e., for me, the universe is Jesus Christ, God, aligning yourself with that and being open-minded, all of the things that we've talked about today, you're going to attract those things. And when you're in alignment, that is the law of prosperity at work, because now you're going to reap what you sow, and it's going to be in alignment with what God has for you. We've talked about the power of word, the law of non-resistance, keeping an open mind, teaching the importance of surrendering to the flow of life. We've talked a little bit about karma today and reaping what you sow. To me, that's all the same thing. But one of the things that I'm going to harp on, which is going to be my last question, and I'm going to combine two questions with that, talking about forgiveness and how you use forgiveness and what techniques are you using in your own life to manifest, this law of abundance and prosperity. We've talked about casting burdens, love and kindness, all those things, using intuition. And I have to say this, we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to say it because chapter 9 talks about perfect expression or divine design. In a way, we have touched on it, right? Because we talked about so much about aligning ourselves with God and the universe. The concept of perfect self-expression is asserting that we each have our own unique purpose. And then we talked about, of course, denials and affirmations. So in this quick 1 minute last round question, I want to just touch base on, what techniques are you using? And I just want you to quickly highlight the importance of forgiveness, right? The use of forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness, and then what techniques are you using in your own life to really apply these concepts. And that's what we're talking about, things like journaling, the affirmations, specific things that you're using. And then we'll do a holistic around the room so that you can plug your businesses. So we'll start with you, Jill. Keep it at 60 seconds for that last question.
So I definitely use affirmations. I use gratitude. I use kindness. I use prayer and meditation. I use silence and nature. Those are some of the things that I use to really be my best, and self-care. Let's not forget about that. I think we can forget about that very simply, but that to me is about self-love and moving forward in a good way.
Yeah, and I thought, forgiveness, learning to be forgiveness and keeping that open mind is part of that self-care framework. Angela, how are you actually applying these concepts in your daily life? And then please feel free to speak on forgiveness.
I apply these concepts to my life by physical health. So whether that, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like something happened to my sound. I'm sorry. By physical health, that's just by going for a walk or run, just doing things to help my mental health. Also, that helps me with my physical growth too, and my spiritual growth, because I have alone time to reflect on things that has happened in that day, that week, that month. It helps me to just put things into reality, into a space. And sometimes, we think off of emotions, but that gives me that time to actually think about what I want. And that actually gives me time to think about forgiveness as well. Because forgiveness is necessary. Even when we don't feel like we want to forgive, it's still necessary. It's still necessary to forgive. Like, we might not forget, but forgiveness, we don't want to be bound by unforgiveness. And I really believe that bounds us when we're angry with somebody for whatever they done to us, or we're just angry with the universe or with God because he didn't give us that keeps us bound. Okay. So we really have to exercise forgiveness.
Man, this has been so great. As we wrap up, we want to make sure we give chances for each of you ladies to give us a final word of wisdom and to plug whatever you have coming up next, or plug your business. We've been sharing your information in the chat. We're going to start with you, Carrie. We're going to keep it at a 60-second around the room, and plug your business, plug away, share final thoughts, and tell us what you got coming up. Carrie, you're on mute.
That's so I don't cough all over you. So I'm sorry. And thank you. I just want to encourage people, like, no matter where you're at, like, you can move forward. Even if this sounds so far-fetched and so ridiculous, and yeah, this is for other people, but maybe not for me. Like that, I found, like, also in this book, there's like, it's okay to issue challenges. It's like, thank you for blowing my mind today. Thank you for showing me that I'm wrong. Thank you for showing me that there's more to this than I know. Like, those, and again, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes this stuff fun, is I'm open to play and I'm open to be like, whatever. But sometimes, like, those do come through events that, like, I would find unsavory, right? That's not what I had in mind. She says, be very intentional with what you say, and just finding, like, general statements that feel good, that you can believe, very simply, like, things can still work out. Things can work out despite of me. And then I apply coincidentally, like, which came first, like, I didn't find this book until recent years, but I've been in business for a long time. And what I do is I change people's perspective and focus around living safely in today's world, because you can't deny, like, things happen in the world that are just, we'll go back to unsavory. That's a nice, gentle word for it. Like, there are things that happen, but just because they happen doesn't mean they have to happen to me. And I can live in a way that allows me to focus on all the things that go right. I can focus on all the areas where I have control. Like I said, power and control don't have to be dirty words. Okay. Just like in this book, they teach us where we have power, where we have control, and how that can be a positive, fun part of life.
Jill, we're going to copy and paste this and put this in the public chat, okay? Hey, so Carrie, where can people find you, reach out to you?
You can go to beatingdisaster.com. I help children, women, and families be safe. I also have online content for moms, content courses and coaching for helping moms keep kids safe in today's world.
Okay. Angela, do you have any events coming up?
I don't have any events, but if anybody is wanting one-on-one coaching sessions, counseling, therapy, spiritual transformation, I can definitely help you with that. I do have a journal that will be coming out soon, and it's about negative thoughts and affirmations. What this book is talking about. So, but you can reach me at www.soundmindwellnesscenterllc.org. And I am here to help foster those thoughts, so that you can be more aware, more intentional with your thoughts, your thought patterns, your just life living. Life is hard. Life be lifing. Like Miss Carrie keeps saying, the game of life, we got to know how to play it. So I am here to help you learn how to play the game of life.
All right. And Jill, final plug, and then I'll do my little plug. We'll close this out.
Wonderful. Well, I help you create that visibility and publicity that drives your prospects, leads, and referrals to you. I have a fabulous free gift, which is great publicity action ideas, plus an interactive free publicity masterclass with me live on Zoom. So all questions answered. And you go to publicitycrashcourse.com/free gift. Also, come to my kindness circles. They're super fun, interactive, and a wonderful way to keep kindness in your life. JillLublin.com/kindness circles. So look forward to helping all of you get your name out there and make a kinder world after all.
Jill, you're always doing something. Do you have any events coming up?
I have a challenge coming up, publicity challenge, and I'll put that in the chat too.
Okay, and then my final plug, guys, at April 20th, we'll be hosting the No Burnout Passion Fatigue Prevention Workshop for women in social impact. But even if you're in social impact or not in social impact, the concept is all the same. We don't want women to be burnt out. We want women to maximize their potential. Also, you can check out my books. We put the link in the chat. The Career Mindset Reset Journal for Women, and the Prayer Works, Transform Your Mindset, Transform Your Career. Because again, I live these principles, I teach these principles, I coach these principles the same in my own way as a career coach and executive coach. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. The recorded event will be on YouTube. It will be accessible via YouTube. So if you want to play back, we will also break this down into various recordings. You can follow us across all social medias at Work Solutions, as well as what we're popular for, Career Coach RX. If you tuned in here on TikTok and you want to go back to watch the replay, you can click the link in our bio. The replay is going to be available on YouTube. So again, thanks for tuning in today. Ladies, thanks for taking the time to join me for our first book club event. We're going to definitely have to do this again. It's been awesome. And guys, stay great.
Thank you.